Hello there, Stephanie Barnard for Inque Boutique with a fun card by Betsy Veldman, one of our design team members. It's a cute little thank you card. It's nice and aged copper embossing powder, and I'm going to show you a little tiny bit of a technique that's going to help you achieve that extra aged look of the copper embossing powder. But isn't it adorable? It uses one of our newer sets. It's called Page Corners, and these are just some of them because we're using this great big monster stamp. It's huge, perfect for 12 by 12 pages, but Betsy used it on her card. So I'm going to share that with you today, how to create that. The first thing we're going to do, and this is a special trick that my friend Marg taught me, you're going to use a dryer sheet that you've already used. So technically you throw this dryer sheet in the trash, but what do dryer sheets do? Besides make your clothes smell good, they also resist static. You know the static when the socks stick into your shirt when you pull it out of the dryer. But if you use a dryer sheet, it's like the static cling. It takes away all the static. So you're going to use an old one, and you're just going to lightly rub your paper you're going to emboss. That will make the static kind of go away, and it won't make all the extra embossing powder stick to your project. Special tip. Thanks, Marg. So what we're going to do first is we're going to ink up our stamp with our embossing ink. And you've heard me say this a million times. You want your stamp to be Juicy Lucy. Okay, so I'm going to ink this baby up, and this is a big stamp, but it is worth every inch because it is such a beautiful stamp. So I'm getting it nice and inked up. And the fun thing about this stamp is it's kind of like the aged look. It really adds to the personality of the stamp. I'm going to flip this baby over. And I'm going to pick a corner, and I think I'm just going to pick this corner right here. I'm going to get on top of it to make sure I line it up. Luckily, I can see where I'm stamping, so I know exactly what I'm doing here. And I'm going to stamp. And because this one's big, I'm really going to give it a lot of pressure. I'm going to stamp this baby, get all the corners and all the pieces. Now, I'm using my stamp mat because we want to make sure I get all of that stamp. I'm going to lift that up. And you can kind of see the impression that I've left with that with that ink because it has a little tint to it. I'm going to now take a scratch piece of paper, and this is my copper embossing powder. It's going to be so pretty. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to really give this a lot of powder. You want to cover all of that stamped image. You don't want to miss any of it. So I always just totally cover it. And then I kind of give it a little shake, 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 make sure I get it all over it. And then I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Now, I'm going to set this off to the side just for a second. And I'm going to clean my embossing powder up. Because if you turn on your heat gun and you have all this embossing powder here, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, it's a mess. And if you're anything like me, your cat might come visit you and spill this. And let me tell you, it's not fun to clean up. So we can save all of that because it's all reusable. Anything you don't use, you just reuse next time. So I'm going to bring this back. And I'm also going to check really quick. I have a cute little brush here. Of course, it's purple, one of my favorite colors. But I'm just going to kind of check my static cling sheet, my lint dryer sheet. Worked pretty well, but I just see a couple little spots that I want to make sure I get all the extra powder off. Looking good. I don't see too much. So now we're going to emboss. Ready? This is the fun part. This is where we get to see it in action. And I'm going to melt it, but then I'm going to melt it a little bit longer than normal to get a little extra of that aged look on the copper, okay? So ready? Get set. Here we go. Give it a second to get warmed up. And see, you can almost instantly see it heating up. I'm just going to run this around it. And this is a huge image. Isn't it beautiful? I'm going to melt all of that embossing powder. I love to emboss because it's like magic. You just see it melt and you just go, oh, that is so pretty. It just gives such a fun texture and a fun look. And it looks like you've spent 4 hours doing something when in reality, it's, 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm going to melt all that powder. And now I'm just going to kind of keep my heat gun on there a little bit longer to really heat up that copper embossing powder. Just kind of leave it on there a little bit longer, and you can see where I leave it, it just kind of turns it, just changes the color, almost a patina look. And I think that's about it. But as you can see, it just adds, oh, and I see a little bit of smoke. Make sure you don't get too close. But as you can see in here, there's just a little bit extra more of an aged look. Just kind of, you know, give it some more extra oomph, you know. So we're going to go back to my original. And you can see the card that Betsy made, and it says thank you. And isn't that beautiful? So next time you have a situation where you need to say thank you, make sure you create a beautiful card for that person. I'll see you again soon.